Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Welcome to our channel everybody. I appreciate you being a viewer and a subscriber. This is an important video because I'll break down exactly what's in the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan for you, how it impacts you if you're unemployed, how it impacts you if you're depending on the stimulus checks and you make less than $160,000 a year, how it helps you if you're hungry, how it helps you if you're at a risk for eviction, how it helps you if you have children, and who is out of luck. Let's just jump right in, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Please enable notifications so that you get future alerts from our channel. Let's just jump right in. Let me give you some new alerts, folks. The House will be voting on the Senate bill, the $1.9 trillion bill, next Tuesday. Remember, because this went through amendments in the Senate, we do need the House to pass the exact same version of the bill next week, and then it goes to the president's desk for signature. Because the way things work is that the same bill has to pass both the House and the Senate. The bill from the House was amended in the Senate and it passed the Senate 50 to 49. The vice president was not needed to cast a tie-breaking vote. Now that same bill has to pass the House and then it goes to the president's desk for signature. So it is official. Steny Hoyer, the House Majority Leader, said on Tuesday the House will consider the Senate's amended version of the American Rescue Plan so that we can send this bill to President Biden for his signature next week. So that is very encouraging. Now, folks, let me be clear. One of the main achievements for the Trump administration was spending about $1.9 trillion on a tax cut for the ultra rich, for the ultra wealthy, and the and large organizations. So if you appreciate behind the scenes information, please click like and subscribe. One of the major achievements of the Biden administration in the early days is spending about $1.9 trillion to help everyday Americans. So very interesting there. In fact, I want our viewers and subscribers to understand what's exactly in the American Rescue Plan. And I can tell you already some nonsense is out there from individuals like Senator Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz just tweeted out, Democrats just voted against my amendment that would have prevented American taxpayer dollars from being handed out to illegal aliens in the form of $1,400 stimulus checks. Senator Ted Cruz, you're lying. It's a strong word to use, but hey, you got to call it. No illegal and undocumented immigrants are getting stimulus checks, and no illegal immigrant is getting stimulus checks, unfortunately. But unfortunately, these senators still put out some stuff that is untruthful out there. Very unfortunate. President Biden did say on the child tax credit expansion, he said, let me say again, it's significant, it's historic, it will cut child poverty in half. And I want to be clear, not a single Republican voted for this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, and Senate Democrats passed this package without a single vote, everyone, from Republicans. They just did it all on their own. Here's some statistics on your screen. Let me make sure you folks can see it. Let me put myself here. There you go. 76% of Americans support this, and 0 Senate Republicans voted on this. Pretty incredible, everybody, what happened. Let me jump right into what this actually means. But first, let's give our viewers and subscribers a breakdown of what's exactly in this plan. Let's show it to you on your screen right now. This is the breakdown, everyone, of the American Rescue Plan. And let me do this. Let me make sure you folks can see the whole thing. There we go. So here's a breakdown of the entire American Rescue Plan, everyone. Let's start with the bottom right-hand side. Reopening schools and higher education, $178 billion. Tax credit, AIDS and childcare for families, $219 billion. So I started with the bottom right-hand side. Let me bring myself into the screen and move myself. That way our viewers and subscribers can see the other stuff. Okay. We have vaccination and healthcare, $176 billion. Let's take a look at some of the bigger chunks. Unemployment insurance, $246 billion. State and local aid, $350 billion. $1,400 stimulus checks are $424 billion. And, obviously, the Republicans will say, hey, 8%, 9% is going specifically towards the pandemic. But folks, there's so much here that is needed to help our fellow Americans. Veterans, $17 billion. Restaurants and bars, $25 billion. Renters and homeowners, $40 billion. Others, $45 billion. FEMA disaster relief, $47 billion. Vaccinations, $176 billion. So again, folks, a lot of stuff lot of stuff actually going on here to help our fellow Americans. Let me now break down everything that is actually included in the stimulus plan, so that everyone gets an idea of exactly what's included. So let's say your family makes. Let's start with your family making less than $160,000 a year. Family making less than $160,000 a year would get $1,400 stimulus checks per person to families earning $160,000 a year and families earning less than $80,000 a year. Now, when I say per person, I'm talking about the tax filer plus adult dependents. Okay, so these will phase out. So there'll be a smaller number of people who get stimulus checks with this third stimulus check compared to the first and the second. The new payments will top up the $600 stimulus checks that were sent out in December. Individuals earning less than $75,000 would get the full $1,400. Married couples earning less than $150,000 would receive $2,800, and families with children would be eligible for an additional $1,400 per dependent. So I want to be clear that if you have children, you will get $1,400 per dependent, and adult dependents are also included. Okay, so let's say you're a family of 4, and let's say you have the husband and the wife and you have 2 children. You would get $1,400 for the husband, for the wife, for the children. And for the first time, adult dependents are also included. Adult dependents were not included with the first stimulus check and the second stimulus check. So these payments will be based on either the 2019 or the 2020 income. And again, unlike the previous two stimulus checks, adult dependents, including college students, would be eligible for the payments. Now, if you're unemployed, the jobless would receive $300 a week federal booster on top of unemployment benefits, and you'll get those payments through the 6th of September. And this was hammered out after hours of negotiations involving Joe Manchin. And basically, 2 key provisions would be extended for the same period. I'm talking about the PEUA program and the PEUC program. So this is important. Also, the first $10,200 of unemployment payments would be tax-free for households with annual incomes under $150,000. This is quite different from the original House version of the plan. So freelance workers, gig workers, part-time workers, independent contractors, and individuals affected by the pandemic can receive benefits through the PEUA program, and the PEUC program, the Pandemic Unemployment Compensation Program, increases the duration of payments for those who are in the traditional state unemployment benefit system. I'll be doing more detailed videos about this shortly as well. Now, out of work Americans will start running out of benefits with these 2 programs in mid-March, or would have started running out of benefits, but now these have been extended. So the $300 a week booster that was due to expire in the middle of March is now going to be extended as well. So this is encouraging. This will be extended up to September 6th. Now, workers who are being paid at or above the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour will not see a boost in pay because the $15 an hour minimum wage did not make it. Now, for those of our fellow Americans who are hungry, under the new law, food stamp recipients would see a 15% increase in benefits continuing through September, and it's not going to expire at the end of June, which is what was going to happen. And families whose children's schools are closed may be able to receive some additional benefits through the summer, and that depends on your state. So I'll be providing more information about that shortly. Now, if you're behind on your rent or if you're behind on your mortgage, $20 billion will be sent to state and local governments to help low-income households cover back rent, rental assistance, and utility bills. So this will go to states. So you'll have to get in touch with your state. Also, about $10 billion would be authorized to help struggling homeowners to pay their mortgages, utilities, and property taxes. And there would be $5 billion to help states and localities assist those who are at risk for experiencing homelessness, and an additional $5 billion for emergency help vouchers for those who are homeless. Now, what happens if you have children? So most families with minor children could claim a larger child tax credit for 2021 under a new provision. Low-income parents in particular would benefit. So qualifying families would receive a child tax credit of $3,600 for children under the age of 6 and $3,000 for children age 6 through 17 under the age of 18. And the current credit is just $2,000 per child under 17. So that's gone up significantly. So this enhanced credit would also become fully refundable. so that more low-income parents can take advantage of it. So households would actually receive payments monthly rather than a lump sum once a year, which would make it easier for them to cover their expenses. And that is interesting. Now, if you're sick, this is interesting. If you're sick, if you're quarantining or caring for someone who's not well, or a child whose school is closed, the bills, the new law may provide your incentive, may provide your employer to will provide an incentive to your employer to offer paid leave and sick family leave. So this is interesting. This is another interesting provision in the bill, because the original proposal had something else, President Biden's proposal, but now these bills do not require employers to offer the benefit. They do not require employers to offer the benefit, but they provide tax credits to employers who elect to provide the benefit through the 1st of October. So there is a tweak over there that will impact paid sick leave and family leave. And this last year, however, just so that we can compare this to last year, Congress had passed laws guaranteeing workers 2 weeks pay if they suffered the pandemic or if they were quarantining. It also provided 10 weeks of paid family leave last year, everyone. So last year, that's what happened. Paid, 10 weeks of paid family leave did happen last year for those who were staying home with kids when schools were closed. But that all expired. Now, what if you need health insurance? Most Americans, could qualify. But here's the thing with the health insurance component. Under the newly passed Senate version of the plan, more Americans could qualify for federal premium subsidies through the Affordable Care Act, through the ACA marketplace. So what is interesting is that if you enroll through the marketplace, you would pay no more than 8.5% of your income towards coverage, which is down from nearly 10% now. In other words, you would get more subsidies from the federal government for your health insurance. Also, those earning more than there's a current cap, which is 400% above the poverty level, which is $51,000 for an individual. Those earning more than the current cap would also become eligible for help. So basically, there's more eligibility for the Affordable Care marketplace and more help from the government. And lower income families, lower income enrollees with the Affordable Care Act could have their premiums eliminated completely, and those collecting unemployment benefits could sign up for coverage with no premiums in 2021. So this means that there's healthcare coverage, everyone. Big impact as far as healthcare coverage. And the Senate legislation provides more generous assistance to those who lost their jobs but want to remain on their employer or employer-sponsored COBRA plan. So these workers would not pay any premiums through the end of September under the Senate version. So there's more health coverage, everybody. And the House bill would have required them to pay 15% of the premium, though that could, but the Senate version doesn't. So the House will pass the Senate version, and this is good. And folks, if you own a small business, there's $15 billion for the EIDL program, which provides low interest loans. And if you're a business that was impacted with fewer than 10 workers, you'll be given priority for some of the money. So that is a good thing. And it also provides $25 billion for a new grant program specifically for bars and restaurants. So the Paycheck Protection Program would get an additional $7 billion, and non-profit organizations would become eligible. Another $175 million for outreach and promotion, creating a community navigator program to help get the money to smaller businesses. So folks, that is it in a nutshell. That is pretty much everything that you need to know about the new stimulus plan that has been passed. I hope you folks learned something. I would appreciate it if you would click the like button, if you would subscribe, if you would enable notifications. Folks, there's a lot of good stuff in the American Rescue Plan, and I will keep you posted as we get more new information. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something new. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.